of the Tricentennial Committee. Our chair, David Clifton, cannot be here tonight. The agenda that I just passed out is slightly revised. And this is a friend, yes?
I'm Dave Spagone. I'm a local performer, and Michelle had asked how I might be involved in the Tricentennial.
Yes,
so
if anybody was at the Music Series Festival about a week ago Sunday on that gorgeous day, Dave and his son both played at that event, and Dave does lots of local events, and Dave Clifton and I do a ECAT show. Thank you, ECAT, for being here tonight and for all you do for us, called Easton 300, and we're gonna have Dave write a little jingle for that too, so that's another reason why he's here. So go ahead, Jeanette.
Oh, I got nothing.
Okay, she got it.
Yeah, Dale Carrister, and I'm a little bit late, but I will be getting onto the responsibilities as connecting with our community service organizations and just connecting more generally with our community in connection with the 300 celebration.
And Ken.
Ken Michael, Business Committee. I guess I have to go around and beat up all the businesses in town and get them to get on the committee.
Have you started?
Absolutely. You didn't see the emergency trucks going?
Tom Hetzel. I'm here as a volunteer. My wife decided, hey, come on in and let's see what it's all about. We're kind of brand new, kind of learning what this is all about. Hope we can help out.
So glad you're
Playing
here.
basketball.
Yeah. Good. How you doing, Kim?
Little basketball
Three of us here,
connection.
we're getting the team back together.
On this side of it, there's a little basketball connection. If Dave were here, he'd be part of that.
I'm Karen Hetzel. We live down the road here, a mile or so. And we've been in Easton for 30 years, 31. But I was telling Court, we were involved, well, we were at the 275th parade 25 years, or more than that, ago, well, it will be then. And we got a branch of a pine tree thrown off a truck. This guy was just throwing little branches with the root. And so we took it home, hysterical, it was probably these two fingers together. It is now a 60-foot tree in our yard. So that was the other inspiration. We thought maybe we should take a picture of it.
You absolutely should. In fact, we should probably do a little program on it or something.
Maybe.
That's something
But
we
it
can
was
absolutely
really
talk
cool.
about. That
And
is.
my husband, until it got way too tall, used to put a star all the way on the top.
And Christmas lights all around it.
But now it's kind of on a lower level, because I don't want him to hurt
Well, I think
himself.
maybe in 25 we should.
Well,
definitely.
maybe we'll get someone to do it for us.
If we can get the town to come by to help me out, because I've got too many wind and ladder close calls.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Cool.
So, my job, we're just saying what we're doing.
Whatever is comfortable for you.
Okay. Just looking for, our secretary keeps me in mind. My job is to solicit big money in town for the big events, our signature events. And we're working on the sponsorship opportunities form right now. There's been a couple different additions of that, but that's where we are with that right now. But when we get that ready, I will begin my solicitations.
Very good.
Thanks, Courtney.
I'm Diane Lusardi, and I'm the secretary. And that's self-explanatory, I think. Take the notes and then send them out. You can introduce yourself, Roz. I did. You already did.
She started.
She's forgettable things. You're not forgettable, though. But anyway, Roz and I are also the cookbook committee.
Yes.
So
Right.
we're going to be doing a cookbook, and Ken is going to help.
Yes. He has lots of
Historical
records.
Society. Very good.
Is that what she was asking again?
Yeah.
Back there?
So that's what we do.
Anybody have any eggs I can scramble?
I know where you get your eggs. All right, so we are going to move into the approval of the 8-9 minutes. That is August 9th, which is the last No, we did not vote on them at our last official meeting, which was the last meeting of August. We did not have a quorum when we began, and we forgot to vote on them. So if we can get a motion to approve, has everyone seen the August 9th minutes?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Is that Dale and Ken?
Correct.
And we did our introduction of guests during our call to order, so we're going to skip right to our chair report. So we're going to start with Dave's report, which he did send out to everyone. I do have, let me see, at least one copy if anybody would like to see it, and I will read it out loud and if anybody has any questions. So he reports that he's hoping that we can begin our fundraising as soon as possible with a finished brochure, that we still need approval from the Governor Ames Estate to do the picnic concert fireworks on June 14th. I'm going to add to that one of the things he did want to speak about tonight was the locations. And I do have a handout on that. I'll just pass that around. Just for your information, it's not necessarily something we're going to vote on, but this was the parameters that we used to choose locations. So we have our 8 signature events, and we are hoping that by the end of 2023, we have the 8 events set in stone. Check, done. We have the 8 dates. Check, voted on, done. That we have the 8 locations. That is something that we are currently working on. I can tell you that the first day event on January 1st, we are looking at the school complex. We have a meeting with Leisha Cabral, our superintendent, on October 10th, and we are hoping to hold the first day event there. And our first day event coordinators, Amanda Hurley and Anne Marie Taylor, are both in favor of using that space. It's indoor, outdoor, leads itself to families, easy walking, no stairs, so that everyone can enjoy that. The Patriots Day weekend, we are having an arts festival weekend. We're having a family event on Friday night. We're hoping to do that at the schools as well. We are having a kids' day on Saturday, so hopefully a matinee, some lessons, art, music. We're hoping that might be in a few different places around town. On Sunday, we're hoping to have an adult theater production, maybe 1776, and we're looking at a few locations for that around town. And on Monday is going to be the artisan event on that Patriots Day on Monday, and Langwater has offered their place of business for us to use to have that event, to have, Diane mentioned like a quilt show might be a nice thing to have. We'll have musicians, artists, photographers. It will be about the arts. Then our town picnic and fireworks on June 14th. We are hoping to have at the Governor Ames Estate. Currently, the trustee that we're speaking with is out until mid-October, so we won't get an answer on that for about another month, but that is what we're looking at. Then on July 4th, we are going to have a parade and block party, and we have gotten the okay, at least until we sit in front of the select board and get road closures, to have that begin at Center School, come down Center Street into a giant blocked off block party downtown. Then in October, on the Saturday of Indigenous Peoples Weekend, which is October 11th that year, we are having a townwide bonfire. Having a little bit more trouble finding a location for that. However, I did meet with Connor Reed, our town administrator, today, and Keach Park was something that we had batted around, and Connor thought we might be able to make that work. So that is the direction that we're heading in right now. The anniversary gala ball will be on December 27th, and Stonehill has been completely locked up on that. So those are our current location status. The other thing that we wanted to wrap up before 2023 as far as events goes is to brand these events with names. So we spoke with the different coordinators and the 2 chairs, and we decided to go with the word Tricentennial for everything. So in order to keep it consistent, I know that sometimes there's things in town that's called like the Legacy Fest or the Harvest Fair. Is that the Taste of Easton or the Celebration of Easton? We're hoping to have our events be called Tricentennial First Day, Tricentennial Arts Weekend, Tricentennial Parade, and so on. So that, yes, Courtney.
Just because regarding the flyer,
Yes.
I also noticed that. What about saying Easton Tricentennial? There must be a reason you're not.
There
putting
isn't.
that
We can.
first.
It's certainly something that we can talk about
Okay.
when we go to, make a print of something that's kind of finalized. If we want to bat around, because the other option too is, and we did not negate this, is we could call it 300 everything. So we
Easton
could go
300,
with
like the website.
Easton,
Exactly.
I like
You're
that.
right. I
yes.
like that
So
too.
it could be like first day Easton 300
Yeah.
or Easton 300's
first.
first day, but whatever it is that we do decide on, and we'd like to do that before 2024 starts, we'd like them to stay consistent. So, for now, before we voted on that or brought it to committee, that's how Dave and I have been referring to them, Tricentennial this, because we all know exactly what that means. But if we think that for the town, it might be easier to have that number in there, or we can definitely talk about how we're going to brand that and keep it consistent and be able to make merch and things like that that keep it consistent.
Even the school teachers, I found another nice legacy family, and even the teachers were saying, "What's a tricentennial?"
Yes.
Oh,
This was at Easton Middle School.
that's
Yes.
horrifying.
Yeah, Easton 300.
Yeah.
Clear,
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah,
agree.
I
And you
really.
don't have any definitional issues.
Yeah,
And not that it really matters, but our website is already called Easton 300.
Right.
I wouldn't say we have to go with that because of that, but it is something that is already out there.
Good
So,
Suggestion.
yeah.
Connect.
Right. So that let's put that on a future agenda for firmness as to what we're gonna really call these events. But for now, we're gonna call them Tricentennial blank for our purposes. He also reports that Dave has decided to chair both the bonfire committee and the fireworks committee, and he's going to co-chair both of those committees with our fire chief. Justin Alexander has agreed to do that with Dave. He mentions an open house, which is on the agenda later, so we can come back to that. He mentions the logo contest, which is also on the agenda, so we'll speak about that. The fourth and final part of that process before 2024 starts is we were hoping we would have all coordinators in place. That may not happen as we, it's so nice to see 3 brand new faces here tonight. We've done a lot of talking amongst ourselves, but getting out into the community is going to be a top priority, for the rest of this year and all the way until the event. And so all of this branding is becoming really important. So, but if we don't have coordinators by 2024, it doesn't mean we're not going to do the event. In that case, I think you're going to see Dave and I step into roles until we can pass that role off. So, that's where we're at on that. He mentions that again, and then I did want to mention that our Veteran Services Officer Corey Ahonen, if you haven't already heard, has resigned from the town of Easton. He got an amazing job working for Corey Ahonen. Yep. Did I say Courtney? Corey? He is going to be working for the state Veterans Office. He'll be in on Beacon Hill. So he has gotten an amazing opportunity, but he's a resident of Easton and has agreed to stay on as the Tricentennial Parade Coordinator. So we have lost nothing. For our committee, we have lost a lot for our town. His last day was last Friday, so very sorry to see him go. So that is Dave's chair report. We're going to move on to the vice chair report. And some of my vice chair report is going to be a conglomerate of some community relations stuff, some marketing communication stuff, which Mike's not here tonight, so we'll be talking about that too. So the first thing on the agenda you'll see is that we do have a resignation on this committee. So I'm going to explain this so that people understand. This committee is got 10 members on it. This committee is appointed by the select board. We don't choose who we work with. We don't ask friends to be on this committee. It is the responsibility of our select board to choose that. Back when we started about 1 year ago, we had 10 members. Immediately, we had someone drop. She read the charge and said, I'm really not up for it. And that's when we added Jeanette. So Jeanette's been here since the beginning, even though she was not on the original. We had our secretary, Molly Amantangelo, stepped down. That's when Ken came aboard. And then Ed Hand stepped down, and that's when Diane came aboard. So Nora Youssef, who is Avery Lee Williams' granddaughter, has been on this committee since its inception, but she's only been able to make one meeting. And she is really feeling that she is better going to serve this committee by being a more de facto honorary type member. She feels that she's taking up an important seat, and we really appreciate what she has done. She has done some really important behind the scenes things. She's going to continue to do that. She's going to come whenever she can. Her job is a lot of travel. It's in Boston. It's just been really difficult for her. So that is something that she has given me permission to announce this evening. She will be putting through her resignation through the town. So that will be something that if anybody is interested in joining this committee, all you have to do is go on the town's website, and just like you had mentioned, Karen, there's a spot that says volunteer form, which it seems a little like confusing, I think, because maybe it sounds like you're just signing up to be a volunteer, but these positions are all volunteer positions. So that's how you get in front of the select board for an appointment to a committee like this. So if you or anyone you know or anyone out there is interested in being on this committee, we would love to have you. We're definitely going to be putting a 10th person on this committee. And I don't want to take up too much time with this, but I have asked many people to fill out that form. And I just want to address this. The number one question I get back is, what is the time commitment? And it's a very valid question. Because we are volunteers, there is no requirement. As I said, Nora's been on the committee for a year. She's made one meeting. She is just as much a committee member as I am, or Dave, or anybody else. It means that you have a vote. So currently, we meet once a month. Right now, it's this tonight, which is the 4th Tuesday of the month. If that were ever to change, it would be a committee decision and vote. Over the summer, we found that we were kind of lagging behind, and we added a second meeting a month, a special meeting. It is the second Wednesday of the month. We no longer have that meeting as a public meeting. However, we have asked the 10 members of this committee to always hold the second Wednesday of the month for tricentennial business. So if we find that we need to have a second public meeting, that's the night that we would have it. We would post the agenda through the town hall with the 48 hours notice. What we did this month is we had a session, brainstorming session. No quorum is needed, no vote is taken, no decisions are made. Sometimes we're thinking, like, if we were to have an open house, hi Lisa. If we were to have an open house, we would try to aim for that night, since everybody's holding that night. Maybe it's a night you're just home and doing a little tricentennial business. But as far as the time commitment is concerned, does anybody at the table have anything that's been on the committee? Do you want to talk about what you feel the time commitment is here? You know, realistically, we want to get someone, but we want to be realistic too.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend a lot on what the particular responsibilities are the person takes on. So I would imagine that's going to be as little or as much as that person is willing to take on. And I think it's going to vary over time as well. So I know from my point of view, you know, I see a lot of my responsibilities ramping up later this fall when we have a brochure in place and doing more formal reach out and so forth. But
So Dale brings up a really, yeah, go ahead, Ken.
The safest way to look at that assume it's gonna be substantial and then be pleasantly surprised when it's not.
And Dale brings up a good point, which is all of the roles that you hear around this table, that's another thing I've heard is, well, which role is available? We have chosen our own roles here, so that there are no roles. We do have to have a chair, and they ask us to identify the chair and the vice chair, but we don't have to have a secretary or a community relation. These are the roles that the people on this committee have decided that they would take on. So if you were to join this committee, we don't have a current open role, so to speak, but we have lots of open roles. We need a fundraising person. A lot of our committees need some help. So as far as what role you'd be taking on, it isn't. It's just a committee member seat, and you're fine to keep it that way. So any questions, or are we good with that? So speaking of that, what I did bring tonight, and I only do have one, so if you all want to just take a peek at it, we have been talking about committee structure. That's the next part of my report. And so back about 6 or 8 months ago, we had talked about, I'm going to pass this out too because I don't need it. We had talked about how we were going to break down this committee. So that committee structure in front of you lists the 10 current members of the committee, the subcommittees that we have. So we have 7 subcommittees. We have a marketing communication subcommittee, which is headed by Mike Good. Business relations is Ken, community relations is Dale, fundraising and sponsorship is Courtney. We have a volunteer committee, which is currently Andrew Parker is the chair of that. He's not even on this committee, but he's the chair of that subcommittee. And we have, what are the 2 I'm missing? Missing 2 committees. Dale, help me.
Is there a souvenir book committee? Is that under something else?
That is under marketing.
Okay.
Do you have volunteer logistics?
Oh, logistics is Mark Lamb, and
And then events?
Events is me. Why would I forget that? So those are the 7 committees that we do have. What you'll see on that paper is each committee is broken down into their committee, who the chair is, who's the assistant, if there is one, who's on that committee, and then what that chair finds that they need. So for example, if you flip to the marketing communications one, you'll see that Mike Good is our chair. He has a committee currently of 2 people. One is Kim Good, and one is Nora Youssef, and she may perhaps stay you don't have to be on the Tricentennial Committee to be on a subcommittee or run a subcommittee. But he also has identified that he would like somebody, we have an IT person, that's John Tracy, but he is not interested in keeping up the website. So, we have a website person. We have somebody who's going to be writing our newsletter. We need a social media coordinator. We have reached out to Stephen Souza, the media teacher at Oliver Ames, to see if we can't get one student to do our Twitter posts, one student to do our TikTok posts. So that's probably the best committee on there for like a breakdown. For example, on Courtney's committee, Courtney, as she mentioned, is our sponsorship fundraising chair. She does not have an interest in doing the fundraising part. She needs a fundraising coordinator under her.
The little events, the smaller events.
Yeah, the ones that, that will raise money in like 2024 for 2025. Ken is our business relations. He has found that he needs, an admin or somebody to. Dale is our community relations, and he needs someone. He's identifying where, what community organizations there are. But he needs somebody who's going to say, okay, from 12 to 2, you're at this event, and then from 2 to 4, so-and-so is going to, he needs a coordinator for that. He doesn't feel that that's nobody can do all the things. So that's why we're looking for so many people to take on a little bit, and we all just kind of work together. You'll also see on that structure sheet that I've tried to list where committees work with other committees. So for example, if the fundraising sponsorship committee needs flyers, Courtney does not have to bog herself down with making flyers. She uses our marketing communications committee, so we all work together. If Dale needs a permit to have a community event, Mark Lamb, our logistics person, will work with Dale to get that permit. So does anybody have any questions or comments or anything they want to say about committee structure? Yes.
Just wondering, for the people that were recruited to meet with you, or did any of those people come to fruition?
Yes.
Did they end up anywhere?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that because Courtney is our number one feeder of names. So every once in a while, she just kind of throws up on Facebook, hey, Tricentennial Committee, want to get involved? She'll get 5 people. She'll send me 5 names. I reach out, we have coffee, whatever. Jamie Anderson was a super awesome connection.
I was thinking for logistics for Dale.
Yes, yeah, and
They
she's
would work well
also
together.
super interested in getting music involved. She's involved with marching band, and so she's going to help out like with the parade in that way. She wants to help out with if there's going to be concerts, you know.
Okay.
And I've met with several people. The last meeting we had 5 brand new faces at our table. Elizabeth Starr is interested in being the assistant to the town picnic. So yes, it is so worth it. I mean, Lisa's here tonight and she's interested in being on the yearbook committee. We have Diane and Roz doing cookbook, but you know, I'm sure they're gonna want some help collating recipes. There's so many different things. Anyone else? As a committee chair for the committee chairs, if you have roles that you want added, let us know so that we can, you know, find people to fill those roles. So moving on, we're going to move on to the pop-up. So one of the things that we have been discussing is the fact that we do need to do some community outreach. We need coordinators, we need people to volunteer, but we need the community to even know that we're doing this. Most people don't know that we are. So one of the things that the Community Relations Committee has come up with is we're trying to form like a to-go kit, right? So we want something to be able to go out, set up, and anyone can sit there for a couple of hours with 2 minutes of instruction. So I'm going to pass this around. One of the things we all discussed at one of our meetings was we should probably invest in a pop-up tent. And this estimate comes from Red Ball Productions, which is Brian Hoffman's merchandising company. So I am going to make a proposal tonight, and we'll see if we can get a motion and get it passed. Those tents range in price from about $500, $490 something, to about $950. The major difference is that there are 8 surfaces on this tent. So if you can imagine that there's a surface that's about this big that goes around all 4 sides, and then there's a surface like this, like a circus tent that has 4 sides. You can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 panels with your logo or what have you on it. I'm going to make a proposal. I don't particularly have a feeling about how many times this should be on here, but I do think that we should go with the town logo as opposed to the Tricentennial logo. I think first of all, we can get that tent made ASAP. We don't have a logo right now. Also, the Tricentennial has an expiration date. It's an expensive tent. It'd be a nice donation to the town to give them this tent when we're finished. We can get a banner that hangs from pole to pole that says Tricentennial, but it's my proposal that we make a motion to get a tent, a pop-up tent, that is Town of Easton in nature, and that as far as how many different, that's something that's open for discussion. Like, I guess it depends on like, where are you looking at the tent from? You know, if you're in the middle of a field, I imagine you'd want to have all 4 sides. If you're up against a wall, maybe you only need 1. So
If we were to go with something like the logo and do it on 4 sides, what's the approximate cost?
So one side.
I couldn't read anything.
That's okay.
I had my reading
That's
glasses,
all right.
so-
One side is around 500. It's like
Mhm.
490 something. All 8 sides, I think, is around 935. So all the prices are in between there.
So it seems to me we don't need to overdo it, but you probably want to have something that's visible from, I think, from all 4 directions, right? If you're sending it out there, so people coming this way, that way, so forth would see it.
I would say, and I would also say that like the wording is probably not important. The town seal, if we were going to do 4 on this part of the tent, would probably be more important.
I'm just kind of curious, kind of new person, maybe
Yes.
this isn't the time to do this, but where's the, and I'm brand new.
I'm
where's
so
the
glad you're
budget
asking
or
this.
the
Yes.
money to pay,
Yeah.
or
The
how
money
much
is
do you
there,
already
Tom.
have?
The money is there.
Yeah.
It is there.
It is there.
So-
I can
Is-
detail later, but the money's there.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is 100% a fundraising event.
Right.
No, the town is not paying for
That
it.
was my next question.
Yes, and that's a very important question. So we are working solely on donation.
Okay.
So if we are, it may be in kind, or it may be sponsorships. We have different fundraising that we're doing, but if you're asking if there's a line item in a budget for this, there currently is not. So this is 100% fundraise.
Thank you.
We can also say that thanks to Nora's grandfather, Avery Williams, he started a Tricentennial Fund a number of years ago, and there was already about $52,000 in that
That's where
account.
the money is. That's the money.
I'm sorry?
That's where the money is.
Yes, so,
Okay.
and
I make a motion that we go for the tent with the 900 plus
with the 4,
4 sides.
Can we review?
absolutely, yes.
I'd like to look at it first.
Oh, no.
Yes, Lisa.
Is the town
Nothing
logo the
with
two
it.
shovels
I didn't see
crossing that
it.
new thing I see around town?
No, it's up the monument that's in the center of town, it's a circle.
Is that the Civil War monument?
It is, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so as that's going around, we can come back to Ken's motion. So we'll need a motion on, I think he's making a motion for the 4-sided.
I'm making the motion for the 4-sided, which is approximately a $900 to $1,000 tent.
Okay.
And this 4-sided, is this, Ken, are you looking at just the Easton logo or
Town
what?
of Easton logo
Yes.
only.
On all 4 sides.
This is it right here.
Okay.
At the top.
Yeah.
I think,
I have no idea what's on the paper, I haven't seen it.
I think the 4-sided is less expensive. The 8-sided
It is, it's the
the one
8-sided
that's-
that's up
It's on the
around
inside.
900.
Whichever one has the logo on all the sides, whether it's 4 or 8, that's the one that can.
That's a great motion. So, and with that motion, we can kind of go ahead and get it done if it passes and, have it hopefully maybe for some fall events. So, but it will definitely come in handy for us. It'll come in handy during 2025 and then it'll be donated. I actually reached out to Shea Matta at Frothingham Hall and asked them, just so that you know, due diligence, I reached out to the town to find out if they already had one that we could use. And they already have one, but it's at the town pool and it's in very bad condition. They don't even know if it will make it like another summer at the town pool, which is when I said, well, don't buy one. Unless you need to, let me talk, we'll talk in the committee to see if we can't come up with something like that. So once that's been around to everybody, we can come back to that. Any more talk about the pop-up or?
So are you talking about having this tent in various locations at various times throughout
Yeah.
the fall?
Well, it would be wherever we are promoting an event. And then that's a good question as far as like when it's not being used. I imagine probably would not be set up only because of wind
Oh,
and
yeah,
weather.
well, that was my other concern is it really sturdy there? Because those less expensive ones, they bend pretty.
Yeah, we can check on that for sure and see, yep.
Another question.
Yes.
Looking at the drawing, so the seal is gonna be on the peaks.
Yes.
But the wording, is the wording town of Easton gonna be along the flaps?
Do we think that's necessary?
I kind of like the idea of just the logo, and then we have some type of a banner for the Tricentennial thing that we use.
Or
Yeah.
we could get one of the tables with the tablecloth and the Tricentennial
Yes.
logo on the
Yes,
tablecloth.
that is
I mean,
absolutely
the
another
logo is,
option.
it said, you know, Town of Easton, so it might
Right.
be a little redundant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it might be a little busy otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, how about that too, but I was also thinking about people who are visually impaired perhaps, and we don't know how far you're gonna take this tent, it might go to all kinds of events over the years, I'm just thinking that that might be, give it more flexibility, but either way, it sounds fine, I mean, just the seal sounds fine, I just wondered if we thought about in the future, having it, written out, and people who are visually impaired may not be able to see that Town of Easton around the circle,
So maybe when we do make a motion on this, maybe we want to talk about 5 sides and doing it maybe just in the front, or the options are 1 through 8. That's what those prices are on there. So keep that in mind when we,
I would think it's gonna be a pretty good size, though,
Yeah,
by
But
the
you have to
peak.
see it.
It-
Yeah.
And it's, if you look
Yeah,
at
no,
the.
looking at the pictures kind of hard.
Oh, that
last
Yeah,
page.
how large
That-
that
I would think it's probably gonna.
that last
Sure it's
page is on
bigger than this.
sponsor.
I would think that would be a couple.
If it isn't, it's gonna be on every square inch of the tent.
So are we ready to proceed with a motion, or,
Would you repeat the motion?
yes?
My motion was that we approve the purchase of the tent
Yeah.
with the town logo, only the town logo, on it, what is it, 8 sides or 8 panels?
4 sides.
4 sides.
4 sides. Okay, because I said 4 and somebody said 8, so
4 sides?
I don't
4
know.
sides.
Let's- However many
Okay.
sides there
No,
are,
4.
Right.
Okay.
we'll go with.
Put a
Price
logo.
is $685.
Unless you wanna do the 5th one with.
Well, I thought there was a $900 tent.
There is,
That's for
that's
each
for-
side, that's for
That's what I
each.
thought.
That's 8
You said 8
sides.
sides.
Okay,
That
so
was my
his motion is for
My motion was
8-sided.
I think
For
it's
a tent, 8 sides.
8 sides, 8
I said 4,
locations.
somebody else corrected me when I said 900, said 8. I said, because I haven't
Exactly.
seen that, so I have no idea what that looks like.
Sight unseen.
Yes, absolutely, because I get the concept, and I don't need to discuss it.
Okay, 8, look, I think that makes sense.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Moving on to
I'm
rack
gonna do
cards.
that one.
So, we have we're trying to get some promotional material set up here. So I have, let's see if I have any extras. So every one of you actually should have seen the rack card, because I'll pass it around, because it went out through email, just to get an idea of what people thought. So this is, a rack card is, it's 9, no, I don't know. I don't know the dimensions, but it's, when you walk up to a register and there's a little plastic rack there, a rack card sits in that. So they're tall and skinny, and made of like a glossy but firm cardstock. So this is the prototype that has been batted around in the committee. And this is the last feedback that I received from the committee through email on proofreading it, what colors were being used, etc. So I am looking to propose that we have 500 of those rack cards made by ABA Printing for $150. Now,
Oh,
Dave is convinced that the Southeast Regional will print those for free. Dave is not in a position right now, I think, for us to be thinking about that right this moment. And Southeast Regional has offered lots of free printing. So in the interest of time and moving forward, I would like to see a motion that we have 500 of these rack cards made.
I have some objections.
Absolutely, that's what we're
You
here.
mean comments in a positive way,
That's
right?
what, no, that's what it's,
Our man with.
and that's
Can
what
we all
a
just get
committee
along here,
does.
yes.
That's what a committee does. So let me just say what the intent of the rack card is. The intent is to let the public know that we exist, period, and how they can get in touch with us. So that rack card has those names, as we're calling them, and perhaps that's something we do need to discuss first if we're going to be branding. It has the dates those are correct. The dates are set. It does not have any locations on it because we only have some and we don't have others. And we don't feel that in 2023, that's that important. It has the calendar with a circle on all the dates in 2025. On the back, it has a brief description of what the heck's going on here when people are going to say, what does that mean? What is an Easton Tricentennial? So it puts forth these 8 signature events that we have worked so hard to come up with. It lets you know when it is. And one of the suggestions from our marketing communication side was to have the front shrunk down a little bit and it become a magnet. So like you put your Patriots schedule on your refrigerator, just the front side of that will become your save the date.
Okay, I love that idea. My comments are very kind and simple. I just can't read.
You know, I
the
think
font
that
color.
got changed to white, didn't it, Diane? Maybe I printed the wrong one.
I can't see that.
Yeah, I think you suggested.
I know we're so bad.
It was a blue.
This is last year.
We gotta bring the whole thing of pencil reading glasses for everybody here.
If you look at it on the computer,
Ken,
it's
do you
much
have-
brighter than what you're seeing.
But
So
also-
when we print it, it will also be
Yes.
brighter? Okay,
Yes.
and then the other thing, let's just, so there were the 3. The one, if we said E300 or Easton 300, and this still says Tricentennial, so we might not wanna, we might need to, really need to decide on that Easton 300 before
Good
going
point.
forward with this,
That's
number
fine.
1. Number 2, for me, just electronically, when I saw it, these were the zeros,
Are too big.
they're not zeros, but that's the thing. I was like, what is that? Is that wait,
So-
is this part of the 300 or is this part
It
of,
was meant to be like a check-off box.
but maybe it could be a square then.
Okay?
Because when I think of Easton 300 and we're gonna have, and then it's too many O's, my eyes are going everywhere.
Yep, boxes.
So that was it.
Yes.
And then
Those are
Ken
two.
also-
But you had dates, they are.
Yeah, you can't see
Oh,
it.
But you know what,
I see.
Diane? I think I printed the wrong
Yeah.
one because you had made through email that
Right.
suggestion and I did change it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great suggestion and unfortunately I think I just printed an old one, if you know what I
But I
mean.
think it's cute and I was already gonna, I wanted
It's got a
to, I was
calendar.
gonna share it just with a few people that I was trying to recruit as a draft from the
Yes,
school.
yes. So I do apologize that, that this was what it looks like now. And you can see that on Diane's suggestion, I did change the dates to white.
Wonderful.
So I must have printed in the older version of what I had sent out. Sorry about that.
Could those circles be a little smaller?
Yep.
The date
Oh, yeah,
bigger?
we're gonna
Or
make the
boxes,
date
they
bigger.
can be
Or
boxes, yeah.
Just
Even
with the dates.
The font of the dates might.
Okay,
They're hard to
It's
see.
cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
The font to read.
all right, yeah. So I will rework that
Yeah,
and we
just
will,
small
you know,
What would you need to do?
take a vote on that at another time.
Also, I think
Sign up,
you should,
sign up for
we
what?
should stick with Easton 300, and if you're starting at the top of the
Oh, it says
card,
volunteer.
just for everybody looking at the, above the calendar.
Right, that's right.
I think you coordinate the whole thing by saying
That's my question.
Easton 300 celebration, and then as you're going down on each event, Easton 300th first day celebration, Easton 300
Yeah,
Arts
Okay,
Weekend,
cannot read this at all.
etc. And I agree that the circles are a bit distracting, and a box might be better if our intent is a checkoff. I'm not sure why we have a checkoff on it though. Why people would be checking off on a.
You're doing almost like a bullet point, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe
Well,
just a
well,
very
well,
Oh, we
Yeah.
small,
definitely
a
want
very
to go
small
this
bullet point.
sort of
You did
like,
it.
You go
You
with a
have a
small
job,
bullet
Michelle.
point,
That's a lot of
because I
work.
don't, if I were getting a rack card, and I know exactly what they are, I would simply say, what's the circle for?
Yep, we
Not
can
gonna
just
check.
take that out. So, because we're talking about it, why not go with this? I mean, we're on the subject and, you know, it really stinks to push things out. Do we want to make some kind of motion to name these events tonight?
You mean as Easton 300?
Or whatever it is that the committee wants
Sounds like
them
folks
to
are ready
be?
to
I
do
have
that.
All right.
a question.
Yes,
Over here, it says what you need to do. You have volunteer, donate, sign up. Sign up for what?
okay.
Because you
Why do
already
have the
got
signs for
volunteer.
donate? You're saying volunteer signs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
part of this was just a suggestion.
Yeah, of
Similar
course.
to the posters I sent out when I wrote like packing picnic baskets. I was just putting things down so that we could get something rolling.
Yeah.
But I mean,
It's almost there.
we're here
It is.
now. Why don't we do this
Let's
if
do it.
everybody feels okay with that?
What is the paper? Is it like a cardstock?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's like a
like-
glossy.
It's a
It's like
glossy.
a postcard.
Like a glossy-
So it's
yeah.
very similar to, well, it is probably this. You can pass that around. That's a postcard, that's not a wrap card. But that's printed by the
Yeah.
same company
Oh.
and that's, you know, the, what it would be like.
It would seem to me, just for purposes of what we're gonna be putting forward for motions, would be, yes, let's reach agreement on the name, like Easton 300th, and then the follow for your branding, and number two, that we should vote to authorize you going forward, and I would suggest that we do the authorization so that you and Diane can do it with the freedom to tweak things, so if you wanna get some little feedback and so forth, and change the font and so forth, because otherwise you have a committee of
And I don't think,
12
I agree with that. I
Right.
think that if we make these major decisions tonight, like, a font change doesn't need to be voted
Right.
on by
Yeah,
the whole
right.
committee.
No.
A color change doesn't need to be. But the name of our events does. So, you know, I think that we are probably really close with this. And we can probably leave tonight with a motion to print once the committee likes all the ways that it is.
I'm gonna make a motion
Okay.
to print the 500 cards. We'll get to what we're gonna do afterwards, then we can make a motion
Sure,
on the name. So why don't we just make the motion to get the card out there?
good.
Once we've decided upon how it looks.
So
Okay.
you make the
I'm
motion
making a motion
to
to
print them
authorize the printing of 500 rack cards.
at $150,
Correct.
Whatever the rate
not
is quoted.
go through the regional, not go to
Correct.
school.
No.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
Well,
What I
you-
said was, I'm making the motion that we authorize the printing of 500 rack
Okay.
cards. We haven't made a decision, and I don't think tonight we're gonna make that decision, because Dave isn't here, as to who's gonna print it or the cost. So I'm just simply saying the motion is to print 500 rack cards. I think, as Dale was just saying, the next motions should be on the naming, and I personally think, since we're using Easton 300th and everything else, that you want to connect all of your marketing materials in the same way and use Tricentennial only in different cases, like, for example, the Tricentennial Committee. So that's what I'm saying.
Second.
I would say that without, and that's fine, but without authorizing the cost, we can't have anything printed anyways. So I would suggest that we authorize the $150
So then I'll
cost.
change my motion and simply say, with a maximum printing cost of $150.
Perfect.
You
That
can
sounds
go down
great.
below it to zero if you want.
And Michelle, am I correct that you're hopeful to get these done in time even for the Harvest Fair? or-
I would love to do that, if we
Yes.
can come to some kind of agreement,
So
yes.
timing wise, $150 seems like a small cost to get the word out,
You
start
get the
getting the
first
word out.
Exactly.
150 or
Right.
500.
Right,
Will the tent be ready by then?
probably not, but
No.
Isn't it this weekend,
It is.
Sunday?
It's October, isn't it
Yep.
October 1st?
First,
Sunday, yeah.
Sunday the first.
This weekend.
Yep,
This
Sunday.
this
And I
Sunday coming
doubt
up.
that we're
Yep.
gonna get these printed up.
Oh, I know we
It's
can
gonna
get
be
them printed
fast.
up.
You do?
I know,
Okay.
if we make a decision
Then let's make the
tonight.
decision. Let's start making the decision.
And is this the red ball printing or
No, this is ABA.
ABA?
Yep, Ed Bass.
Okay, Ken, you made a motion to print 500, a cost of about
Of a maximum of
approximately.
$150.
And I second.
And then, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? So let's move on to, I'm gonna save the fonts and the colors for all of us on email, but let's get a motion, like Ken said, down on what you want this to be called.
I'll make the motion that we call it the Easton 300th, for example, at the top, Easton 300 Celebration. Each of the events, the signature events, Easton 300th First Day Celebration, etc., all the way down, I'll make a motion.
Easton
Should it be
300
or 300?
I like 300.
Okay.
myself.
Yeah, because the
Okay.
300th First Day celebration, people are going,
Yeah.
oh my lord, there's 300 of these babies. So,
Okay,
If they're all lawyers, don't make that distinction.
and that's the name
Well,
of
they
our,
overdo it.
and that's the name of our website. So,
Easton
That's right.
300.
I'm
Easton
I'm saying
300.
use,
Yep,
use the same name as we have on the website
Yeah.
and we have in
Yeah.
other items, so that it's all connected.
so there's a motion,
Branded.
For Easton 300, that's the
I'll
motion,
say
so
that.
not
Right.
300th,
Right.
300. I second.
300.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And as long as we're on the subject of Easton 300, everybody see the movie 300, like the Gladiator thing?
Yeah, I
So
saw
we've
it.
got to work this in for one of our signature events.
Okay, okay.
Too late, right?
It's not too
Do
late.
you know 300 Spartans who can show up on?
I bet you some of the high school kids might jump in on that one.
Can I just ask
Yes,
about the
of course,
logo?
yes.
The logo, isn't there a contest about the logo?
There is,
Yes.
yes,
There is.
yes.
So, what is that gonna be on?
That will not be on, so if you look at the prototype, that there isn't a logo on it because we don't have one right now.
The town logo's on the logo.
Yes, the town logo is on
Okay,
it.
so it'll be okay to have the town logo on that
At
tent?
the bottom of
Yeah.
the right-hand side.
Right.
Yeah, this is a town committee, yes.
And then we're
Yeah.
gonna put a banner.
Okay.
Right, and the other thing too is that the tent eventually will be used by
By the
other
town,
Eastern
right,
things,
okay.
other
Donate it
activities.
to the town.
Yeah, I was just.
And then the idea is we're trying to get the
logo.
word out on some of these things now, with the idea being that we're still value in having a logo contest. So then at some point, then the marketing materials and so forth will then include the logo as determined by the logo contest. right?
Awesome. So are we good with rock cards? Any further discussion on rock cards?
Thank you.
So I have posters next. So this is something that you all already saw as well. These are the 8 posters that I am proposing that we have printed for Sunday. These are $35 a piece. They're a foam core poster. They advertise our 8 events. 8 easels around this, in theory, the eventual setup will look like a pop-up tent, a table with a Tricentennial tablecloth, because we're not doing Tricentennial on the tent, so let's look at maybe eventually getting a tablecloth like that, with 8 easels around that advertise our 8 signature events. So I'm looking to propose that we, at ADA will print these 8 posters, poster size, foam core quality, $35 a piece. And so looking for feedback on that.
What about wind and flying away?
Good question. Maybe we could do a little bungee, or anybody have any?
What are they gonna be on?
Do you have
Easels.
easels?
I don't.
So
I mean,
the-
I'm sure I could
maybe
borrow
the-
some from
Yeah,
some
The
people.
easel itself would have to.
I mean, I could borrow a few from the Lions, I'm sure. I could ask
Store
the
probably has at
library.
least 3 or 4,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's probably something that we should probably look into investing in. I don't think they're very expensive. They're pretty lame. Like she said, like they blow over in the wind. So,
Last year it had a lot of wind,
yeah.
Yeah.
so something to consider.
Yeah, so, I mean, if anybody has any better ideas or other ideas, the easels, the original intent of the easels was, we had proposed having an open house at Rockingham Hall. There's no wind inside, so like that would have been perfect. But these posters, the intent is to reuse them over and over and over again out in the community and for promoting what we're doing. So yeah, let's talk about it.
And do you need to change this logo then, Tricentennial?
Yeah, we would need to change all of that, yep.
And some of these have dates and some of them don't.
They should all have dates. If they don't, that's something we should definitely.
That doesn't,
Yeah. Okay.
These are the ones you sent out via email, right?
Yes.
Email that one, I'll write that down for.
Yep.
The thing you have to do on some of these posters, all these posters.
Okay, right, see, that's why I remember reading last on.
Tricentennial Committee.
That's what it might not.
Oh,
And then
Arts
say
Festival?
Tricentennial.
Oh.
Yeah, but now we'll say
Now we should
Paper,
go
say
to
we
300.
Right.
Oh.
Should have a date.
Easton
Yeah.
300 first day,
Yes,
as opposed to,
that's right.
and that's a comment I'm making for all 8.
Yes.
Yeah, and the top part of it where it says Eastern Tricentennial Committee presents, I'm still fine with that because it's,
And especially now it won't be.
Yeah.
Exact here.
yeah, and then just a little branding thing,
You don't
yeah.
want Tricentennial twice in the same.
Oh,
I only started listening to the second half of what you said, so it must be the first part, sorry about that. So-
So
Most people don't even hear the sound.
So I guess what I'm proposing here is that we do the same thing with these,
I mean, I
that we
guess
did
first
with the
day-
rack
This
cards,
is the week.
all of your font ideas and colors and don't say this and definitely say that, you're repetitive here, we'll do through email. But can we possibly get some kind of a motion that once the committee approves of the minutia part of it, that we have the go-ahead to have them printed?
I'll make that motion.
I will second that motion.
Okay, this is too fast now, what?
So he's making a motion that once they are approved by the committee through email for the colors and fonts and spellings, that we go ahead and have them printed at $35 a piece.
And
It
there are 8
was
of them,
seconded,
right?
8 total, seconded by Dale.
Once the verbiage and,
Right, colors and,
And I'm also
Spelling errors
making
and-
a motion, Diane, that the titling here on these various posts, all the posters, is changed to reflect the same kind of change we made on the rack rate.
Easton 300.
So
Right.
Easton 300, first day, et cetera.
And-
Tricentennial Committee up above presents, you can leave it in or take it out, either way, but I think it's fine.
and Karen mentioned that like they should all have dates. They should all have dates. So the dates are set in stone, so they should be on there. And if they aren't, that's why it'll be important just to watch your email over the next couple days, unless you don't care. If you care, you know, you're definitely gonna wanna hit reply.
I have another question, which,
What is this?
you've got
That's
the
a QR code, so people
So
can
people
scan it on
can
their
scan.
phone.
I'm
So-
sorry, Dale.
So I sent that out to all of you. That's a QR code that you can use
Thank you.
for the rest of your life. It'll always take you to the Easton 300
I
site.
have another
speaking-
Here's
add-on.
another add-on.
Speaking of the Easton
These ones are
300,
changes, so sorry.
we should probably
Sorry.
get a trademark registration for it, right? So nobody else can stop, and we would certainly have common law things, but you've already got the domain name for Easton 300, right?
Yes, but that's a good idea.
So I have a friend that might be able to do that for us.
You know,
free of charge.
in bringing that up, maybe we can talk a little bit later too about, do we need to be a 501c3? There was some discussion about
So let
that.
let me help you right here. If you don't have a charitable purpose, you're not a 501c3. It isn't gonna happen.
I think as an extension of the town, it just
Right.
doesn't make
You're
any
the town,
sense.
you're not, you
Yeah.
don't need it.
Okay,
But I think on the name itself, we want to make sure somebody else doesn't try to
Yeah.
come and co-opt, you know, you have certain
Okay.
common law trademark rights by
There goes-
using it,
that's
but we're
right,
not.
But there goes all of my products that I had.
Oh, you're lined up. Yeah, people like this over here. Sorry, well, if you cut me in, 50%.
Oh, I wasn't gonna give you
Oh, all right.
40.
now it's down to 20.
So
Zero.
I will talk to
You will
somebody
do
who
that.
should be able to do that for us pro bono, so I'll come back to the next meeting and just see what that would entail to
Actually,
do the registration.
I know,
Perfect.
I'll talk to you about that in something else.
Okay, one question. We're called the Tricentennial Committee,
Yeah.
so that should remain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tricentennial Committee
Presents.
Presents.
Easton 300.
Right.
Easton 300.
Right.
Gotcha, because when I post the agendas and
Yep.
minutes and whatnot,
Okay.
it goes under.
Yeah,
So
that
it has
hasn't changed.
been motioned and seconded. All those in favor?
Um,
Aye.
Aye.
Ken,
Opposed?
Oh, wait a minute, Diane's not ready yet.
no,
Okay.
no, it takes a minute here.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
Ken made the motion,
And Dale
Dale
seconded.
second, once the verbiage and colors and info is,
So that's gonna be
okay, and we
200
title them as
280
Easton
bucks.
300. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion on posters? Okay, so let's move on to our
Did you
opportunity.
take a vote?
Nice job on posters.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Michelle, nice job on all of this. You've been
Yeah.
taking,
Did you take a
moving
vote?
the ball forward and
It's
everything,
unanimous,
so thank you.
clearly.
Thanks. And, you know, this is not about like my ego, like,
Sure it is.
it really is.
No, you did a nice job.
Please, like, I spelled dignitaries wrong, like, I would much rather you tell me that than me to go to print on that. Like,
Okay.
that's my ego, right?
Trust
Like, that
me,
you
we're gonna-
didn't tell me
We're gonna tell
that
you.
we spelled
We're gonna
something
tell
wrong.
you.
You're moving the ball forward in a very substantial way.
Good,
That's
good. And so we move on to opportunities. So we are in the season of stuff going on, right? So there's 3 opportunities for us that I know of this weekend. The first is the fire department is having an open house on Saturday. I have already cleared with them that the Tricentennial Committee can have a table there. So we can have a table there. It is from 11 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He suggests we get there at 10 because people do come early. So this is going to get, right now, it feels like really like, oh my gosh, but hoping that we're going to get lots of volunteers, that we'll have a stock of people. But right now, we got us. So is there anybody who can do the Tricentennial table on Saturday for the fire department's open house?
And keeping in mind, Sunday is the harvest fair.
I need people to do that.
So I can do some part on
And
Sunday.
Saturday, there's also a large yard sale at the Unity Church on Main Street, and I asked them if we could have a table there, and they approved it. So we've been approved by.
What time is that?
That is 9 in the morning until 3 on Saturday. So one is 10 to 2, one is 9 to 3. The Harvest Festival on Sunday is 10 to 2 as well, but we need to be in by 9. So it's 9 to 2. So looking for people to be able to do 2 things simultaneously on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. If we can't, we can't. But this is it. So
What are the hours for the harvest fair?
so they're 10 to 2, but they asked us to be set up by 9.
Okay, well, I can certainly do at least a 2-hour window on
And Mike
Sunday.
said he could do a 2-hour window on
All right,
Sunday.
so then Mike and I will cover the harvest festival.
All right, so, and I don't remember if he said early or late, but we'll
I'm
talk.
flexible.
So the NRT on Sunday is covered
So
between,
Karen and I can do Saturday, the
awesome,
fire department,
Excellent.
awesome. What time would you like to do?
the whole thing.
Oh, this is fabulous.
Yeah.
All right, so Karen and Tom are gonna do Saturday at the fire department
10
open
to
house.
2.
10 to
So
2.
be there
The
at 10.
actual thing is 11 to 2.
Right.
And then, so if there's anyone who can do
What is Unity's time?
is 9 to 3.
What day is that?
That is
That's
Saturday.
That's
So
Saturday.
we're not gonna have
No.
stuff at both, right?
Oh, yeah.
I can probably do, I've got a commitment at Stonehill on Saturday. I gotta check and see what time it's at, but I can do from probably 9 to 11.
Okay,
I think I
awesome.
could do 9 to 11.
So
And
it's
then-
assuming we have separate materials, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think about that as far as the posters go, but certainly there'll be enough rack cards for both. I would say that probably the open house would be where we'd have the posters.
I don't think the posters are necessary, because you're gonna have the same, you're gonna have the problem that's being discussed, Courtney was talking about the wind and all
Yeah.
that. So you have the rack cards and you're handing them out, that's your initial, you're basically saying to everybody, here's your initial ticket to the dance.
Yes.
And that's all you really need.
Okay.
Do you
Can I
need
go?
a table or how?
Yeah.
So the fire department is setting up a table for
Okay.
you, so that is all set. I will find out as far as Unity, if we have to bring a table, or, because it's kind of funny, they'll be like, okay, so you have a table. I don't know if that means like you have a physical table, or we're allowing you space to bring one. So I know that the NRT does not supply us
Right.
with anything. So if that's something you're gonna cover, I'm sure you can get a table from Lions, right?
Should be able to, yes.
Okay, all right.
Will we pick up something here, like flyers or whatever? I mean, this is
So,
kind of-
yeah, so, I'm gonna like,
Do we talk to you afterwards? What we?
yeah, we can do
Michelle, how
that,
agree with.
it's
So we
all
don't
gonna
take any
depend on
meeting
how
time.
fast we can get this stuff.
We don't take the meeting time, we can talk after. What to do.
Okay, yes, and we'll exchange numbers and we'll be able to do that, so,
In the interest of time.
yes.
Could you do the rack card printed, like one side, the back side, on paper, and have them printed inexpensively to give to people? And then save the rack cards for.
It doesn't really matter,
Because-
it's probably gonna
because
take
if
a
you're
long
just
hand
time.
out Saturday,
Anything
and
to
in lieu
hand
of
out.
just talking about it.
Exactly.
I think some people will read them and may not take them and leave them there and so forth, maybe, I don't know.
But you only have 500, you're talking Harvest Fair, it could be hundreds of people. Do you want the rack cards for then, or do you want to do the rack cards for a little bit later?
Well,
With
it's
the open
interesting,
house?
right now I'm working on like raising multicultural stuff, and one of the things that
Good
we,
point.
yeah, one of the things that we do is
Done
kind of
for free.
those postcards that I passed around, but we also do a flyer, so it's nice to have both usually.
True.
And obviously having copies, even color copies
Right.
made is very inexpensive, so
The
I
school
mean,
could probably run those off. Oh, it's Saturday. Oh, today's.
I don't know, what are you gonna find on Saturday?
but I mean, I guess what we could do is, we can't do that with the wrap card, because the wrap card is a completely different dimensions. But pass
could do
that around, this
something.
is a flyer that I was just playing around with.
Oh,
We
okay,
could-
okay.
So pass that around, take a look at. That could be something that people, take with them. They can take a rat card too,
I think the
though.
most important thing we can do on this is having a sheet where people can leave their name
Exactly.
and number,
Yes.
email address.
Yes.
If they're interested in some way and identify what their level of interest is.
Absolutely,
Right.
yes.
So some type of thing where there's multiple pieces of paper where people can just fill in the blank information and leave it there.
Yes.
Or can you do the flyer and leave a portion on the bottom to be torn off?
Well, I would just say just to keep it simple, just to have a separate thing where it's almost like a sign-up sheet with, name, if they want to leave their phone number or email address and what their level of, what their interest might be,
All right, so I think as far as opportunities go, we've covered it, except we probably should have a motion to have flyers run off as well.
Before we get to that, the flyer there, that's gonna have, when we run that off, when we get that motion. So you're gonna have a bunch of those at the table. Now, what I'm thinking about
Right.
is, if there is no physical table at Unity Church, I have a table that can work, I just used it at the Historical Society, so I can use it, I have a table. I can leave it there if somebody else is gonna cover after, I can do at least 9 to 11, I know that. I don't know
Okay.
how much later I can do. So I can leave the table, what have you, for somebody to use, and then it's just a question of, once you get the flyers printed off, and I think beforehand, you just make sure that those flyers are consistent with what we're gonna do on everything else.
And I'll do that through email as well.
I understand.
Yeah.
And, I can, if you sent me that flyer, I can print off my company. my
Oh,
company.
great,
Oh.
good, all
I can
right, so
print
then we
out
don't need a
300.
motion for that, okay.
Right, you don't need to make
Sweet.
a motion. If you tell me how many you want, I can arrange for the print off, unless, of course, Courtney is gonna take that home and I'll give it back.
Oh, I'm marking it up, honey.
So am I correct
I'll
in each
check.
of
Other things
the,
I'd like to-
each of the things, the flyer, the poster, and the rat cards all have a QR code on it? So
They-
people-
If they don't, they will. I
Okay.
only made the QR code like a couple days ago, so,
So people
I
can
know
get
they're on
the
the
website thing just
poster,
by.
but yeah, I'll make, it's not on the rack card, so I'll have to add that. So, like I said, over the next couple days, we'll just really go at it on
Yeah, I think having the
email.
QR card in each of these would be great. 'Cause
Yes.
then people can, if they don't take it with them, they can just boom, and they've got the website.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So I think we're good on opportunities, so,
I'll check my schedule.
all right, awesome. So we're on to open house, which is, so I would like to make a proposal that we have an open house. This is what I wanted to do in September, and it didn't fly, but, so I'm proposing that on our next Tricentennial, if you see on the second page of your agenda, that last thing got cut off, and I'm like, oh, they can use that for notes, where it says, at the bottom when our next meeting is, but it also says, please hold the date of Wednesday, October 11th for unofficial Tricom business. So I am proposing that we have an open house at Frothingham Hall on Wednesday, October 11th, from 6:30 until 8 o'clock. I have spoken with Frothingham, and because we are a town committee, it won't cost us anything. The idea is to, what I'd like to do is send out, this is just a suggestion on the flyer for that explains, that we're having an open house, come out, find out about what we're doing. Now this, for that night, the idea was to send about 1,200 of these home through the schools, and try to get people to come out and just find out what we're doing. So the thought is that from 6:30 to 8 for 1 hour and a half, we will have some refreshments at Frothingham Hall, and we will have an informational session. So from 6:30 to 7, I'm hoping all of the Tricentennial Committee will be there to mingle about, answer questions, explain why we're here, direct people to clipboards like Dale is suggesting. Interested in this? Put your name on this clipboard. You want to volunteer? Can you put your email here? We'll have the 8 posters in the room. I'm hoping that about 7 o'clock, a little something, we'll show a 2-minute slideshow, no more than maybe a 4 to 6 minute talking at 7, and then from there on, we do a little Q&A for a few minutes, And then it's a wrap up. I mean, we'll probably all be out of there before 8, but we can stick around and answer questions or just talk to people.
This flyer that's going out this weekend, couldn't you indicate somewhere on here that there'll be an open house?
Yes, but none of this has been,
No, I
Yeah.
mean, but that's,
and
would be
we
a good
can't
idea,
even
because
use.
that way if you pass
Yeah,
it
and
out.
that flyer in your right hand
Yeah,
has the next meeting as being tonight. So like that needs to be changed. So that's something I made a week or 2 ago. All of these things will have to be updated to reflect whatever this committee decides.
so if this could indicate the open house at Frothingham, that would be a double-edged,
Yep.
would be really helpful.
Lisa.
So the
Yeah.
purpose of the, I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
I was just gonna say, I remember Dave said something about all of you would get baseball caps,
Yes,
and I'm wondering, we can have that kind of thing run around to it.
it's a great idea.
Did you get
Yes,
them?
yes.
Red Ball probably will do that.
What's that?
Red Ball.
Yep.
I think Dave
Stacy.
already ordered them,
Yeah, I think he has them
Yeah,
already.
oh, good.
Never mind.
yeah.
So just to understand the objective, the objective here is to, one, get the word out to folks. 2, is it targeted towards organizations that can partner with us, or is it more generic just for getting the word out to folks?
That's a great question. I would say that it can be anything we want it to be, but the idea is people don't know this is going on. So it's really to get people to know, even if 1,200 of those go home with students and 6 people show up to the open house, 1,200 people got that in their hands. So, I mean, I don't know how many people will come, but at least they're gonna find out about it. So it's just that hopeful initial, and that's why the top of that flyer says, Easton is turning 300. This is what I lead with when I work at Farmer's Daughter, and there isn't a person who comes in here that I say, where do you live? And if they say Easton, my first thing is, did you know that Easton is turning 300 in 2025? That's the first thing I say to everybody. And so I think that that's what we need to be saying right now on our posters and our handouts, and even at that table, when you're manning that table, that's what I would say. Hey, did you know Easton is turning 300 in 2025? It opens up the door for all of that. I would invite everyone to come. That would be awesome. So organizations, even businesses. But the goal really is to get people to know that we're even doing this. The bonus is if they sign up to volunteer, they want to be on this committee, they want to give us money. These are all great bonuses. But my thought about an open house was, it's open house time of the year. I know, I've gotten a bunch, it's I'll go to that one and I'll go to that one. I'd love people to be I'll go to that one, and so that's really the goal.
Will it also be put into the town newsletter that I get? by
Yep,
email?
we'd like to get it into the town crier, yeah.
I just thought I was involved in the Festival of Trees last year.
Yes,
I wonder if the committee would want to sponsor a tree at that event.
I'm
That
sure
is a
we will, yes.
huge
We'll be
draw
working
there.
with, all the committees in town, just for another example, I met with wonderful Erica at Pop Tops Day, and, we're talking about merchandise and such. One of the things that we'd like to do is interact with every community organization, house of worship, group, committee, board. I'd like to get our Green Communities Committee to work with us on a water bottle, work with Simpson Springs on water. It'd be great if we could have a water bottle for sale that has the Tricentennial logo on it, the Green Communities logo, Simpson Springs, and maybe if you bring that reusable water bottle to any of the 8 signature events, you get to fill that water bottle for free with Simpson Springs water. Or otherwise there's a charge. But there's a lot of ways to work with all of the committees in town so that we're helping them.
Yes, but.
They're helping
Sorry
us.
to interrupt, but what Karen is suggesting is the Festival of Trees, which is coming up sometime towards the end of this month. I don't know the
No,
exact
it's,
date.
it's Thanksgiving and
Thanksgiving,
first 2
right
weeks
over,
of December.
excuse me, I was thinking wrong month, I was thinking
Yeah.
October. But in November, but you're gonna have to get ahead of the game on that.
Well,
Mhm.
that's why I was saying if you wanted to sponsor a tree, I
sponsor a
would be
tree.
more than happy.
Yeah,
to
that would be
be
great.
So you
part
could-
of that,
you
but
could-
I
You know a group of people who could do it?
I know how to, yeah.
You could cajole a whole bunch of people and beat them and get them on there to make those.
Yes, you
I
can.
can,
Thank you.
I can get a tree going.
Spoken from the person who knows.
Yes. She wants to
But
do
that
it, it'll
would,
get done.
I think that's a great,
No, I mean, it would
Idea
just be a great,
because-
another advertisement, and it's
Mhm.
close to January 1st. which is
Yes,
rolling
yes.
around.
it's, and
And
it's a
people
great,
might, whoever wins the tree will have it in their house,
Yes.
you know,
that's a great idea, because you're gonna have so many people go through that in roughly a week period,
Oh, yeah.
every day.
that would
Twice
be
a
another
day.
place to, yeah. You could have, even have rack cards right there.
Yep.
Because the
Will they let you
I
do that?
noticed other businesses in town, they have
Their
their
business
business
cards
card
or,
and stuff is right there.
Usually if you sponsor a tree, they'll allow you to have a different.
Right, that's what I was thinking, if we
Okay,
sponsored
yeah,
a
you
tree.
can't just do it without a tree.
No, we'd have to buy a tree and decorate it. I don't have a problem decorating it, I just,
Nope.
That's a very good idea.
it is a great idea. And one of the things that we talked about merch today is can we get an ornament out before the end of the year? You know, we're talking about a calendar before the end of the year, so, you know, great things to consider. So we're on open house.
Personally, it's a tough week for me work-wise, so I probably wouldn't be able to be there on the 11th, but I like the idea.
I can do that.
Does anyone want to make a motion, or do we want to table this for now, or discuss it more?
I'll make a motion that we have an open house on October 11th from 6:30 to 8, I believe you said.
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Great.
We can worry about staffing the
Yeah.
rest.
So I'm going to end my vice chair report. I don't think I have any additional handouts because I think my additional
Festival
handout was
trees.
that red, white, and blue one that
it's
just
at
went
the
around.
Eastern Country Club.
Oh, is it this year?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's there.
It is.
Yeah, it was there last year and the year before as well.
Yeah, no, it's been there for a few years now.
So we will move on to committee reports. Secretary, do you have any report this evening?
No.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer, Jeanette, do you have any report this evening?
Yeah, we did redo the budget. Dave and Michelle and I had met about a month ago to kind of pare down the budget. It was sort of inflated with estimates. It's still estimates, I want to make that clear. We took out, we had an admin fee for every single event. We had public safety costs in there for every event, which we're fairly certain we're going to be able to get the public safety portion for free. So we basically divided it up between each event and what we think it's going to cost. The signature events in total, I won't go over each one individually because you can see it, but in total, the signature events we're estimating will be about $189,000. This other expenses we left in marketing $20,000, security $20,000 because at the anniversary gala at Stonehill we probably will have to pay for security. At Stonehill, the billboard we know is about $30,000 for the year, so that's an additional $70,000. So we're estimating that the total Tricentennial year of events is going to be about $259,000. And they're estimates. I want to stress that.
Any questions, ideas, money?
So did you cash in your Powerball ticket?
No, not yet.
Picnic, food, 15,000. Are you feeding people?
We'll have to have our picnic coordinator come forward and,
Just explain, yeah.
so this, as she said, this is estimated
No,
off
I know,
of
I'm
just kind
Well,
of
you probably want
us.
to do something, we have some free handout ice cream
Yeah.
for the kids,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing, so I would see why it makes sense to work it into the budget, right? Yeah.
The wood at the bonfire, the town will give away wood when they knock down trees. We get wood from them and they drop it off.
Put it in your driveway and you cut
Put
it
it in
up.
your driveway.
Yeah, so again, these are
Yeah,
just,
no, I'm just saying, I
we
wonder
sat
if
down
you
and
get it
said,
for free.
what might be the costs what might be the, not even the cost, we were like, what might be the things involved in a picnic? What might be the things involved in a bonfire? It's very rough, and it's not, you know, it's a guesstimate at best. So we kind of backed our way into it by saying that, you know, we are hoping to have 8 signature sponsors, 1 per event at $25,000 a piece. Would like to ask our coordinators to stay within that budget or to give them a budget, and then for them to come back to us. So for example, we use first day event as an example. If we tell them, if we get $25,000 sponsorship for that event, and we tell them you have a $20,000 budget, they may come back to us and say, well, we'd like to spend $10,000 on a band, 2 on this, 2 on this, and 2 on this. And we may say, yeah, we think that there should be more at a first day event. Maybe you should spend $4,000 on a band and free up $6,000 to have, you know, a hayride. And I am just using these as examples. Please do not quote me that there will be a hayride
Okay, so
or.
these are just
Oh, yeah,
budgeted.
yes.
But it was to come up with a solid number per event, so that we can go and give these coordinators an amount and have them come back to us and say, you know, we want horses, dolphins, and penguins. And we're like, I think penguins is enough. Like, take that money and spend it on some food. We got enough animals. So, you know, like, that's just, it's very, so if you see something on there, it's might be just a placeholder, like wood. Maybe we need kerosene. I don't know. But
Is there a carnival coming into town?
not that I'm
Block
aware
party
of.
carnival rides. What is?
In the past, well, I guess
Just
I was
Yeah,
thinking,
the little
I was thinking the
jumpies.
inflatables.
Yeah, the jumpy
like
thing.
there will be no
The little
inflatables.
train.
Zero inflatables.
Oh, no inflatables.
Zero.
Oh, zero.
I could see a lawsuit waiting to happen on
We
that one.
cannot
Oh, yeah.
have inflatables. Met with Connery today. There'll be no inflatables, so we can cross that off.
Yep.
But as far as carnival rides, these are ideas. We don't even have block party coordinators, so we don't have anybody saying like, oh, let's do a duck tank and this and that and this and that for a block party. We don't even have a coordinator yet. These were things that we just were like, I don't know what kind of things might be at a block
It
party.
seems to me that particularly here just placeholders
Yes.
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
moment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's a guesstimate.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
It was, the
Yeah.
goal
So
was
it's
really,
about 260.
the goal was really to be able to say to the coordinators, here's your budget.
Now,
And
what
then
can
it's
you
up to
go
them to
get
come
us
back
for
to
that
us.
money?
Right, it's
Yeah.
either too much or not enough.
right.
Yeah.
One comment, I think on the budget, I think we should build in a little bit extra because of the estimates, so just kind of a small slush fund in case the expenses go over. So if we're at 259 now, wouldn't hurt to be at 300 or 325.
Yes.
Some cushion built
Definitely.
in the event of ultimately, when we finally have these nailed down, overage.
So, you know, we have these 8 signature events. We are looking for 8 signature sponsors, but we are looking for many sponsors for this event at a gold level, a silver level, a bronze level. We are looking to do 4 major fundraisers next year, maybe a golf tournament, maybe a road race. So we're going, you know, these 8 signature events and their matching sponsor is only part of the fundraising and budget that we're looking at. We're also looking at selling merch. So there's many opportunities, if done, you know, well, to raise the money that we need for this event. So, I mean, it's a work in progress. I don't even think we're going to make any motions on this budget tonight. So, but does anybody else have any questions or? All right. So we will move to our subcommittee reports. We'll start with Ken for a business report.
Well, I've had some conversations with 4 business owners already, but until we actually have the rack card and opposed to some more of the marketing tools, the case, so to speak, it's going to be difficult to get really underway. But periodically, I'm doing just that, talking to people who are business owners and letting them know that I'll be coming around to talk to them a little more seriously at a later date, but just want to get them primed so that they know there's a 300th. So I've done that with 4 business owners at the moment.
Questions, comments, concerns? Excellent. So we will move to Dale for a community relations report.
Yeah, mine is similar to Ken's in the sense that I would like to be in a position, before the end of the year to be sending out some mailings and so forth, both electronic and hard copy to the various community service organizations. I've been working on kind of compiling a database from a variety of sources, including for organizations that are filed with the Attorney General as a nonprofit that are based in Easton, and from other sources as well, and collecting those and then having the database so that we can then send out the appropriate materials. Where I would need some help from the committee, I think, would be what we want to do for those organizations is sort of give them some ideas. How can you partner with what we're doing for Easton 300, right? So,
Yes.
So having some sort of a little mailing piece, that focuses on how the recipient organization can do something, because it doesn't have to be 300 per se, but it's celebrating the history and how they've contributed to Easton's history, right? So
I think one of the best examples of what you're talking about, Courtney sent out about 6 or 8 months ago. You had found a partnership kind of contract of, and it was,
Partner country,
yeah, so I think if we go back in our email, I know I have that saved in my Google Drive, but we can share it with you again, Dale. But it was basically, something like the sponsorship brochure, but it's for community organizations that says like, here's how we'll partner with you. You can use the Tricentennial logo on the event if you allow us to have a table or what, so this document that she found that another town used for their centennial, whatever it was a nice partnership piece that you might be able to
my
work with.
overarching objective on this is to plant the seed with these organizations before the end of the year, so as they're doing their planning in 2024 for whatever their activity. So it might be the Children's Museum for doing their activity, that they tie it into the 300 thing in some way, and that it's like a grassroots effort, so we're getting the advantage of all of the energy from all of these different groups doing it. We're not doing it, we're just sort of getting the word out and let the thing spread and grow.
Yes.
So that's sort of, and obviously we'll be supportive and so forth, but I want those folks to start thinking about what they can do to tie in to the celebration for 2025 for those activities.
Perfect.
So that's the thinking there.
Anything further for community relations?
Not for me.
All right, let's go to fundraising sponsorship with Courtney.
Mike just sent a different.
And that is
sorry.
stapled to something
Yes.
on this
It
table,
was-
sorry.
It was on the,
It's on the back of the tents,
did
I
see
think,
it.
by accident.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
You can yank that off.
Yes.
That didn't belong there, sorry.
So, I have, not surprisingly, I have a lot of edits, but we have a start for a sponsorship brochure. We really have a lot of information that needs to be covered, and I'm just not sure that, I don't think there's enough. This is a start, but we just don't, just based off our original document. For example, like the additional opportunities, the Queset sponsor and the AIM sponsor, they all have benefits that take up room that aren't, you don't see the benefits here. So we're gonna need, I'm thinking this is gonna be like probably a 2-page.
So it's a
document.
trifold brochure.
But not-
We brought it to the last meeting,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So the last session that we had, this was meant to be a flyer only. Like, hey, you interested in being a sponsor? Get in touch with us.
I saved it.
Thank you. So, so that's a work in progress right there. But we discussed that at the last brainstorming session and the last Tricentennial.
But
So,
it also doesn't have enough room for the information.
so the idea of this brochure is, let me just grab it, is that, all that information that you're talking about, Courtney, that is something that you would bring with you to when you, this is something that is like public. right? What you're talking about, those specific levels, when you go sit down with a sponsor, you're gonna have that in front of you and you may leave that with them, but it's sort of like the cheat sheet to what, nobody wants to read all of that. Every single thing that you get. When you sit down and you have a meeting with them, you will tell them all those things and you'll probably leave them with a list of those things. But
I'd put it a little reverse, which I would ask, since you're gonna be doing it, what do you want? What type of tool do you want to have going out there that you're leaving with people? And then also, you can consider supplementing with whatever the written piece is with the QR code that goes to one of the sub-web page and things that it might have more detailed information. But what I understand you saying, you're looking for something that
I don't have yet.
right, but you want something.
And I have examples of past documents that I've used and they can even look very similar to that original Word document. It's just, there's, let's say, a design or a color behind it, for example. But these two documents that's just not what I'm used to working with. And I do have examples, and I don't know how many people I've shared them with. I know I sent them to Mike, maybe Dave and Michelle.
Just the one you did?
Just for text only, yes. So that wouldn't be something that I would feel comfortable presenting because it is kind of overwhelming. But I do have examples of materials I am comfortable using, and they're pretty easy to replicate, but and I'm more comfortable showing a flyer that does have all the levels and doesn't make someone have to go to a different place, or at least maybe 3 levels and see more details. But I don't think especially because I understand how you envision it being used, but for me, a lot of the times to get in the door, I am sending the flyer. That is all I have many times, which is sufficient typically, and as long as it looks easy enough to read and simple. Like these are great, but it's actually too much. There's too much stuff going on. Like my donors in my 22 years of experience, they don't have a lot of time, and they're very fast people, and they want to look at it, they want to see what they're going to get, and I do feel that in my experience that they do look at what it comes with, and that's for a variety of reasons. Sometimes that's even just to compare to, for $100 I was able to get a whole page ad at the school, but that kind of thing. So they do look, and they compare, and they remember.
It seems to me we should go with something that you're comfortable with, because you've got that responsibility for going out there. So does it make sense for our next meeting to redistribute sort of the format of something that you've used in others? And then the challenge is going to be condensing, right? Getting that information down. Because that was was a lot of information, right? And
right.
Is that something you can take a first crack at in terms of, in other words, knowing what works for you and how you're presenting it to something, like what you can leave out? And what
like
you
a
need to put in?
mock-up of...
Yeah, I mean, just, and then I take it you're looking for some assistance in terms of making it look nice and presentable and all of that?
Yeah, and it's not, and everything looks nice and presentable. It's just the more information. Well, I need more information. Some of the material can be removed. For example, lines that, lines for filling it, there's a lot of editing, a lot of cutting.
So I guess we need to get to work on it, right? I mean, so this has all been being presented.
I know, but I did submit my examples, and they weren't.
I don't think we got them. All I've received is what's in front of Diane right now.
Okay.
Did you send something else?
I'll resend them, but because not that. Like examples of what I've used in the past.
I don't think I.
Yeah, maybe we can distribute to everybody.
Yes.
It'll be helpful to see, and then I think you'd like some input from folks about how to take the more detailed information you have and how to get it into that format that you'd like to use.
And I think it's I think that the examples will speak for themselves of how to get the
Right.
information in.
Right. Yeah, I think it'd be helpful for all of us, you know, to see that.
And I guess also when I think to like the trifold, that's so different because so many of the people that I solicit is electronic, and they don't
Okay,
wanna
but
look at it
we
that
have
way.
different levels of solicitation too, right? So it sounds like you're focused only on high level sponsorship, is that correct? If that's correct, then we need someone to focus on our smaller businesses, our restaurants, our not the high level
Well,
sponsors, so.
Well, I start big.
Yes.
I secure the big money first, so that's my number
Right,
one.
right, I'm just
But
saying
I'd still,
The same
Right, but a
I'd
material.
still
brochure
get-
that's geared towards that is gonna look different, it's gonna be different kinds of
your-
brochures, right?
not if you're digitally, not if you want it to be read easily electronically.
But why would you have them read something that is not available to them? Like, once you fill all those signature sponsorships, that brochure would change, no?
Well, we have all those other levels below that.
Right.
Well, it's even better when you go
I think
in
we
and you
need
can say
to
you've already
see it.
sold this, this, and this.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah.
what we have open,
I
right?
think
Right.
what you're really all saying is, bottom line, there's no distinction. What you're saying here is, what Courtney is saying is, she needs the information to go up. Yes, she's starting with the top level donors, but that same information, even if somebody's giving $1,000 or $500, that same information should be there because you're gonna have different, gold, bronze, copper, tin, however you wanna do it, different levels of donor. So you can use the same material for a $25,000 donor
Yep.
as you use for a $250 donor. I don't think you, and I have experience in this myself, and you don't have to have distinctions in the material that you're using to raise the money. It's that
I think
simple.
we need
And
to see something.
I agree, that's what you
And
said.
I think since we haven't seen something, two people have taken a crack at what should it look like, because we haven't seen anything. So, except for the list, we've seen the list.
I know Mike has seen it and then, I don't know.
Okay, but
So
he's-
yes, I wouldn't expect it to look like that if I hadn't submitted those documents. I'm totally happy to resubmit them, that would be
Yeah.
great.
So, and Mike's, I think that the whole committee probably needs to see that.
Yeah, just send it to everybody, because people
Yeah.
have ideas and everything. Okay.
And I think I may have even sent some program books too, not that like
You
we're
did.
getting into.
Got the program books
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
So that was with
When
that.
you say the program
Oh, was it
books, you're
with
talking
that?
about the 250th and the 275?
No, sorry, my past program books that I've
Oh,
put
okay.
together and
I
worked
haven't seen
on.
any
Oh,
of
no, I
that.
haven't seen yours.
haven't
Oh, okay.
You just saw the 270.
Okay.
So Courtney, you and I need to talk. Because I have a bunch of stuff for you as well.
Okay, good, thank you.
So anything further for fundraising sponsorship, because we have about 6 minutes left, and I do want to get to logo contest, but Courtney, anything else, or does anyone else have questions, comments, concerns?
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to skip events, there's really nothing to say right now. There's no report for logistics, so let's move on to marketing communications. So Mike Good is not able to be here tonight, so he asked me to present that he would like to push the logo contest out to, I believe, oh gosh, I want to say it's
Push it up.
November
Extend the
15th
date.
or, yep, the deadline. What we're finding is we have had no submissions so far, so we have not promoted the logo contest correctly. So one of the things that we'd like to have at all of our events this weekend is some kind of promotional material that we are having this logo contest. So he sent out a flyer, I think, to everybody through email. We're hoping that we can get some of those flyers made. The idea is he would like to propose that we have a $300 cash prize added to this. We really don't have a prize, so he wanted to propose that tonight. See if we can't get that voted on tonight. He wanted to propose pushing out the deadline. He wanted to propose having the committee decide on the logo, and maybe on January 1st, we launch that logo, some kind of big announcement. So that is what is on the table for discussion and possible motion.
So let me see if I understand. Basically, we're talking only right now about extending the deadline
And a cash
for the
prize.
logo contest and increasing,
There is no prize right now.
or I didn't think there was.
Establishing.
That's a good word,
Establishing.
thank you.
I mean, I think it said like bag of swag.
We had
Yeah,
talked-
or
That's right, we had talked
right.
about that before,
But we don't have
switching
swag.
over from the
Yeah.
bag or whatever.
So the schools,
Well, we wouldn't anyways until we
No.
got a logo.
the schools have been notified there's a contest and the art students have not?
I don't think the schools have been notified.
Oh.
I don't
Yeah, I
think
think it-
anyone's been notified about this
Oh.
except for
There's
the
There's gonna be a
town prize.
flyer.
I think it was on the Instagram page. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I saw it on
And it's in the town,
Facebook
and
or
it's in the town
something.
crier.
Yeah.
It's in the town crier.
Okay.
Right.
Well, did we put anything on the Everything Easton Facebook page?
I don't know, but the other thing that Mike and I discussed is that we are hoping that you all, as committee members, know, you have to know an artist, a graphic designer, or a photographer. If we could each reach out to just one,
Okay.
I'll reach out to all the ones that I know, and ask them to join this contest. We want good submissions, and this is a really good opportunity.
So I have a question, and then I'm going to make a motion
Okay.
based on what Mike had suggested. My question is, it seems like Mike needs somebody to help take the lead on getting the word out and running the logo contest. Am I correct on that?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's a big need we need to fill sooner rather than later.
Right. So I've been helping him to the best of my ability, saying that, meeting with him, and we had a Zoom Monday night, we invited everybody to, is so that we could be better prepared for the motions tonight. Those were the things that he wanted to discuss last night. He and I had previously discussed it. We discussed it again last night. So he, again, he would like to propose a prize. He'd like to propose a,
Right, but before, because I'm going to make a motion on those two
Okay.
things. My point is, are you in a position to do that, to take that lead, or should we be finding somebody else to help? Because we haven't gotten any submissions because we haven't really put it out there yet, right? So we haven't put the concerted effort into promoting it, and we've got other activities that are waiting for the resolutions. We don't want to find ourselves end of October and we have no submissions
Right.
and so forth, right? So my question to you would be, are you in a position to take on, because you've got a huge amount already, and if not, can we identify somebody else who would take that role of being responsible for running, promoting the logo contest?
I would love it if somebody else could do that. I don't mind pinch hitting, especially for this weekend. He has gone to the trouble of making a flyer. It was in the town crier, I think. We can run, 500 of those, give some to Ken, some to you, and some to our friends over here. And we can have those flyers available as well at the NRT, the
Right.
fire station.
So I don't have any suggestions of somebody else to take on that role, and I don't think we have to vote on it, but my suggestion is we all give thought to that, and if we can come up with somebody to take that responsibility
Yes.
on Mike, and work with Mike on that behalf. I don't think it's not an appointment, it's just
Yep.
somebody to help.
Yep.
So my motion would be that we move to extend the deadline for the logo contest until November 15th, and that we provide a $300 prize to the winner to be determined by the Easton Tricentennial Committee.
Is the 15th enough time?
That was the date he
Why
asked
do-
for, right?
You know what, I can't remember if it was the 15th or 30th,
I think
so how about
30.
you change the motion to Mike's recommendation?
How
So-
about you
Update.
just simply give it to the 30th?
I think.
Okay. Good,
Just go to the 30th.
All right.
You're not gonna have enough time.
go ahead.
Go to the-
Okay, so that, my motion is just substitute the November 30th date.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, opposed? All right, so logo contest is done. We don't have anybody here to report on the volunteer committee. Any new business at 7:45? I think we all have
Nope.
enough going on. Maybe Diane can send out action items with her minutes about whatever anybody said that they were going to get done before the next meeting.
You mean we actually have to do the things we said we were gonna do?
We
Really?
have a whole month.
Uh-oh.
Or 3 days, you pick. And anything else this evening? We want to thank our guests for being here. We want to say hello to Dave, and we miss you. We want to thank ECAT for all that you do. And
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I guess like
All
it's
those
another
in
motion I can do.
meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
you.
Appreciate it.
So
7:46.
How'd you like
Can
it,
you let us
Dave?
know when we're off?
Great. Wow.
Can we